And welcome to Let's Talk, making its maiden voyage, if you would, right here on Black Community News. And we are proud to be able to have an affiliation with, in my opinion, humbly, will represent the very best in covering all activity related to the Black community, not only here in Little Rock, but throughout the county, around the state. And we are anticipating at one day perhaps to make a penetration into other areas. So we're thankful to be here with you for this brief period of time this evening. And along with me is someone who is well known in the community and who is the founder creator of Black Community News. And that's none other than Mr. Scott Green, who is here with us on this evening. Scott, how you doing, man?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
We're pleased to be able to have the opportunity of you being the first guest on Let's Talk. You only been trying to tell me to do this for about 100 years, but nonetheless, we've got it started.
Just 99.
Just 99. 99 and a half, then, okay. But we are hopeful that people throughout the city and throughout the county and around the state will have an opportunity to be able to hear some of the things in subject matter that we're going to be discussing over the coming days, weeks, and months ahead that we hope will be able to change some mindsets here in the state of Arkansas.
Allow me to take a point of privilege, Mr. Hicks, and thank you for that. One of the things I want viewers to know is that Mr. Larry Hicks has been a true journalist, having a radio program that airs on KBF every Monday morning at 9 a.m. And when I say it airs every Monday morning, it airs every Monday morning. For those of you who don't live in Little Rock and know nothing about KBF and the station and where it's located, if you can see what it takes, what it takes just to get to the station from the bottom floor to the top floor, I think you would agree with me that the commitment that Mr. Hicks has made, and he's a few years slightly older than me, but the commitment that he has
100
made
years older than you.
to make that happen every Monday is something that's certainly worth commending. And I have been encouraging this idea because I want the rest of the world to know what they've been missing. And the dialogue that Mr. Hicks brings to the table is nothing short of phenomenal. It's on par with. Lester Holt has decided he's going to retire. CBS needs to call Larry Hicks to fill in for him. They won't miss a beat. I'm telling you, they won't skip a beat. This man is just that good, and I'm proud to call him my friend and my colleague. We have most of the time we have interesting discussions. Sometimes they get heated, and then he'll remind me that he's older, and he'll say, "Son," and I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, the sun insertion always kind
of
of
and I just bag down.
Right.
But for the most part, and we don't agree on everything. We certainly have a difference of opinion about some things, and there's some things that we walk lockstep with. I think as he gets older, he's going to begin to understand that I'm more right than I am wrong. But the conversation, if you tune in, when you tune in, you won't be disappointed. And the kind of personalities that we're going to make sure that we bring into this space, we're going to make it worth your while. So you may not see me again. I'm trying to play a role behind the camera, but I'm counting on you seeing him, and we're going to make this really special. So thank you for joining us, and stay tuned.
And
like, share, and subscribe. That's what you need
absolutely.
to do. Is like, share, and subscribe.
And you'll also have an opportunity to give a lot of input in terms of some of the things that we're saying, like, I hate that, I don't like that, that sucks. There's a whole lot of different type of euphemisms and adjectives that you can add to it, but we want your input nonetheless, because your input is what makes the difference in whether we are successful or whether we're failures in many of the endeavors that we're trying to make. And we want to try to get into some of those aspects of discussion on this evening, Scott. And as you take a look at the landscape here in Little Rock and throughout Pulaski County and around the state of Arkansas, there's a lot to be said about Arkansas. And one of the things that is my personal pet peeve is that a lot of folk always want to talk about how Little Abner and the real McCoys and everybody else, the state of Little Rock is.
Wait a minute, so they're saying they still
I mean,
exist?
the city of Little Rock, they say they still exist in large numbers. And I can't agree with that, because I like to think that despite some of the differences here in the state of Arkansas, all Arkansans are primarily the same. I was born in the state of Arkansas, and I grew up to recognize that it is a friendly state and an open state, and people really have an amenity to be able to have conversations with one another without getting in each other's face. Right. And I want to amplify on those kind of things, because I believe they're going to be significant as we are going through this transition right now with a new presidential government that is in place, that is wreaking havoc at almost every level that it possibly can be. And efforts have to be attempted to try and counter them, but the question becomes, where do we begin?
Well, I'm praying that this is, that we are going through I don't know if it's the oyster experience or the pearl experience. Or it's the oyster and the pearl.
Mm-hmm.
That agitation of sand that somehow makes it into the clamshell of an oyster. And I've forgotten scientifically how much time it takes, but there's a season when that irritant that's just just sand will form, and it becomes a pearl. I'm hoping that we're in a pearl season, that all that we seem to talk about on a day-to-day basis that annoys us right now and that we find hard to even understand, it's going to become crystal clear that there is a purpose for this that we would not have if we had our druthers, if we had our choice in the matter. We wouldn't have chosen this. But I'm optimistic enough to think that this is in our best interest. I know it seems almost frightful. I can't imagine being the parent of a child in today and having to come home and say, well, your daddy doesn't have a job anymore because he was fired, not because of anything he did other than show up, but they sent me home. And that's happening to a lot of people. I haven't heard of it happening so much around Arkansas yet. It seems to be still on a federal level, but I think it's in due time. We may begin to hear about those same sort of situations, because we are governed by a policymaker that seems to agree with the president of these United States.
And that's only because the president of these United States has got a small majority in the House. He has it in the Senate, and he himself controls the White House.
True.
And as such, he's in a position to be able to do whatever the heck he wants to do. Though many of the things that he's done is unprecedented, it has come to a point where the focus is clearly on our United States Constitution and the malleability of whether it is so vulnerable that he has made it possible for anybody, and I do mean anybody, if they want to thumb their noses at democracy, at law, at healthcare, in businesses, in a whole host of areas that had heretofore never been done before. And the question becomes, how do we counter that? Because what I'm hearing is nothing but folk weighing and walking through a lot of chaos day in and day out, and they believe that they can't get out of it. But I have the opinion that we can.
Well, here we are talking about a person, and so we've taken this up the ladder to it being a conversation about the president of the United States. Someone that brags about not paying taxes.
Yes.
He knows how to find a loophole. And if he doesn't know himself personally, he knows how to surround himself with people who do.
He does.
So if he can get past the IRS, the Constitution doesn't stand a chance. He's going to find a crease, okay?
That he'll take advantage of.
And he's going to take advantage of it. So far, no one has said that he's done anything illegal.
No, they haven't.
Out of all the moaning and groaning and complaining, he hadn't done anything illegal yet. So, but if he can do it, that means you have to be as clever. I may be clever. I won't say as smart, but as clever as he is to counter. This is ultimately going to become a situation where we're matching wits, literally every day.
Yeah.
But you can't do it throwing your hands up. You've got to stay. To borrow a phrase, you got to stay in the game. You got to keep your head in the game. And I'm hoping that there are enough people who are willing to do that. Now, here we are here in Little Rock and say, well, what? And some people might be asking, well, what can we do? I don't think you can ever prepare enough for the battle that you're about to enter into.
You can't.
It's a matter of keeping your sword sharpened, keeping your sight on your gun sharp and focused, so that when the opportunity arises, you can take advantage of it. We still have children to raise and to prepare, and we do that by teaching them. We have to continue to do that. We have people that we certainly need to continue to support. We need to continue to do that. You hear these stories around the country about boycotts and taking measures of that nature. And well, yeah, but to me, I don't know. Boycotting has always seemed kind of negative. Why not just support the ones you want to support and the ones that are going to support you, and keep it on the plus side and keep it moving? I've never thought I had to beg anybody to like me. And I'm certainly not about to start it now. If you don't, then okay. I think I have enough sense to align myself with people who have my best interests at heart.
Is that black or white?
Black or white.
Okay.
Black or white.
So why don't you look at trying to build a coalition of that black and white in order to be able to create an impact that will make movement very, very possible in this state, and people will be able to be in a position where they can do more and not less.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I can walk the walk and talk the talk. So with Black Community News.
Is that a rhyme? Good.
With Black Community News, we never thought about DEI. However, 66% of the workforce and those that contribute to black community. Now, hear me when I say this: Black Community News. That I happen to be the founder. You see me on Friday at noon. I'm the anchor. But 67% of the folk that contribute to that don't look like me. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know how much more diversified.
What do you think that says?
That says that, well, the good and the bad falls in my lap. I think it says that I'm willing to be open to receive assistance from anybody who's willing to
Look at
align
that same
themselves.
assist. Look
Yeah,
at that same assist.
yeah,
Yes, that's
align
what it
themselves
means.
with my vision. And I only call it my vision because, I started this mess. I would like to think, and if this was a Sunday morning, that it was all God inspired, and just and to a, and I can't be true to myself and not say that it wasn't, because what I've had to endure in order to get it to this point, but God. The fact that we're sitting here tonight and we're launching a program that you are going to be the star of the show, and I'm going to go back
I don't know
somewhere else.
about that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know about that. And I'm going to go somewhere else. But God, I couldn't have thought of this. I know I have a big head, but I couldn't have thought of this. There is no way, even if I wanted to pretend like I could see what has transpired right now. I'm talking about right now at this moment. I can't take credit for that.
Well, you may not be able to take credit for it, but your efforts dictate the fact that you could make it happen in a area in which many in the community as a whole, in the black community in particular, Brother Roland Martin said about how black media matters, and he is absolutely 100% correct. And a point that he brought out was that in 1827, there were some black people who got together, and that's in 1827 now, Scott. They got together and formed a unit that focused on telling their story and not letting someone else dictate their story to them in regard to what things are and should be. We know it ain't happened as of yet. We know that the race to equality in this particular country is incremental at best, but yet it can happen, and it is and has happening and will continue to happen. That's how I look at it presently. And when you talk about something that is defined as DEI, and you know what the acronym stands for,
What is that?
which is diversity,
Oh, that one. Okay.
equity, and inclusion.
Yes, I know about that
So,
one.
how do you feel about that as being a centerpiece in terms of where we're going in our nation today? And is there something, heinous? Is there something surreptitious about diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Well, it's unfortunate that we have to categorize our existence and our relationship with one another. That there are people, and that there are institutions, and institutions are people. It's not the institutions are not the buildings. Institutions are not the equipment within the building. The institution are the people and the mindset of the people. That
When do you mobilize the mindset of the people to rise up in arms, so to speak?
Yeah, but to think that there are some people that are so fearful that they don't have the confidence to accept the idea, be it theory or just be it faith, that what is for them is for them. And it's not anything that you can take. And if you take it and it doesn't belong to you, eventually it's going to return back to the person who it belonged to. You just can't do it. There's something about truth. Martin said it best. Truth crushed to the earth will rise. Now, it might take a long time. The example you gave of 1820 must be a lot of faithless people running around here. Can that be changed? Well, I would argue yes. Because once upon a time, there was a man that was asked, can these bones still live? And the answer was yes. It can be turned around. It is a spiritual journey. It's something that's bigger than any of us and all of us. Something that we have no control over. We can participate in it, or we can choose not to participate in it. But it's a choice. I'm asking folk to choose to participate.
Well, this country is one in which the people it has chosen to participate in it, they've done so very selectively to make opportunities for those who they felt passed the righteous test in terms of living up to all of the standards and the goals and principles of the United States of America. All individuals who live in this country should be able to benefit from those type of invitations to be a part of a democracy that allows for everyone to be considered equal. And I, for the life of me, can't quite get my head around why someone would want to be afraid of me because of my color and because of my addiction and because of the way that I look in any way, shape, or form. It's a mystery to me how that can come about. Is that all learned behavior, or is it truly a situation where those who look different from us are genuinely fearful of us? Because I don't think that shows in all of the nations.
Well, I hope this truism will stand the test of being accurate. But though we might be equal, we're not the same.
And why is that, in your opinion? Tell me why.
I think that's a
$64,000 question.
Well, it's that, and I think it's a God design. I truly believe it's a God design. I can remember, and I tell this story often. I can remember the nights I prayed that I would grow another 6 to 8 inches taller.
You can if you stand on the stool.
No,
grow that,
but eventually I got to step off the stool. And to your point about some people being selected, eventually they're going to either be knocked off the stool or they're going to fall off the stool because they weren't supposed to be there in the first place.
Yeah, but guess what? History has always shown that even though there are those who don't want to see you in the first place, and you mentioned it early in the evening, it keeps on coming. They keep on coming.
It's going to keep coming.
Because they evolved and they are part of this thing that everybody calls life.
And sometimes it makes them even that much more determined.
Yes, it does.
To be denied. To be denied. And if you want it bad enough, trust me, anybody out there that's 5'7" and shorter, they know what I'm talking about. Because if you have a competitive spirit, and I don't know, maybe not everyone does. I know I have a high drive for competition. And I personally will not accept being denied by someone else. I have to deny myself. And I'm going to keep coming. I thank God for that. I didn't pour that ingredient inside of me. It came with the package. Mm-hmm. It didn't come with the 6'4" package, but it came with the 5'7" package that, well, we're going to give him a little extra of this and still make him in our image. Somebody's going to get that on the way home. and so it gives me peace. And it gives me enough peace that I can work around people who are not like me. They may not be like me culturally, ethnically, age, or any other characteristic.
Aspect of being a human being?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay with me. I want other people to be okay with themselves.
Let's talk a little bit, and for those of you who are looking at us right now, and I don't know if it's one or none, but nonetheless, we're going to be here for a few more minutes in order to talk about some of these issues, and one of those issues has to deal with what we are going to do on this proposed suggestion that on February 28th, everybody in the Black community throughout America is being asked not to go and give your dollars to any businesses that are not black owned. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would do that every day in the year, considering the circumstances. It is not a level playing field.
And despite the fact it's not a level playing field, what is it that you do to compensate for it not being one? And what do you do the next day? Where do you go from there?
The day after not going out and
Yes.
and patronizing?
That's correct.
Well, that's an interesting question because it means that, well, I guess it depends on what you achieve. Now, some people will go back to the bus boycotts of in Alabama, in
50s and the
Montgomery,
60s.
in Montgomery, and they'll say, well, they just kept on. Well, they kept doing it until they got the result that they wanted.
Yes.
They didn't have a boycott one day and then, okay, well, we're through with that. Let's go back to business as usual. They had a goal. I don't know if there has been an established goal. What is the goal? Are we trying to create, and again, not a level playing field, but more parity? It's kind of like in sports, in the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and I'm sure some other sports will also follow suit. At the end of the year, the team that has the worst record is given the most opportunity to improve their situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're put in a lottery, and they get a chance to be one of the last teams to get this bouncing ball so they can get the top prospect that is available in the coming year.
Yeah.
That helps level the playing field. I haven't really followed the players union in recent years, but they've asked for concessions that will give them a chance, and I'm talking about the ones that aren't doing as well as the ones that are. Give them a chance to compete. Now, if you can do that in sports,
You can do
why
that
can't
in
you do that in
government.
life?
Yeah. You can do that in government. You think?
And they all get along.
Yeah.
And the people that own those teams, all of them are billionaires, if not, well, at least millionaires, if not billionaires.
Now, we live in a capitalist country, and whatever man has the best mousetrap and catches more mice with it, he makes or she makes a lot of money with it. Anything wrong with that particular notion?
I would say no. I would say no. Because my gift is different from your gift. It's up to you to identify what your gift is. I'm not going to compare myself to you. I shouldn't do that. If I compare myself to you, that means that I'm in difference with the one who made me. Because I'm telling the creator that you didn't do a good job. When I ought to be giving thanks and praise that you have made me perfect. Just the way I am, in all of my imperfection. You have made me perfect. And then I have to work with what I have. So, but I can't get mad at you because you have something that I don't have. You're a foot taller than I am. I can't be mad at you about that. It's not going to change anything. I have to accept that I am what I am and find whatever it is that's in me and focus on that and make the best use of that. As Frederick Douglass would have said, I've got to drop my bucket where I am. Because wherever it is that I am, I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be there, right there.
Yes.
So I've got to look around and say, okay, now what do I make of this? Not looking over at the greener grass or what somebody else has. This is what I have. Let me work with that.
All right, now, when we come up to Friday, February 28, 2025, and we are engaging in this process that everybody says that they're going to be a part of, what are the metrics we're going to use in order to be able to determine whether it's successful or if it's a failure? If someone says it's a failure, does it become a failure?
Well, I think it's a matter. I guess whoever came, and I don't know, maybe a lot of people came up with the same idea at the same time. I don't know if one person can lay claim to it being an original idea, but the only metric in this capitalistic society that I can think of is that the wheels of Wall Street come to a screeching halt. Because if those wheels keep turning, you've done nothing in this society. You've done absolutely nothing but denied yourself. So if you're not hurting my pockets, I'm going to feel sorry for you for being hungry that day, and I'm going to go on about my business.
Do you believe in democracy being fractured, being cracked, or being completely dismantled as we go into this next quarter of a century?
It's the fact that our current sitting president can use the caveats that are at his disposal through the Constitution says that it's not. That it does work. Now, you may not like it because it's not working in your favor today, but hopefully you will live another day and it might be your turn tomorrow. Hopefully people won't go home and just lay down, but they'll stay up all night long, toiling, trying to figure out how do we counter what we just went through. You got to play the game, as Herm Edwards would say. You got to play the game.
Yeah. Well, you got to know how to play the game.
And you got to know.
You just can't jump in there and say, I like this.
And you are absolutely right. And that's where the study and the preparation comes from.
And study and preparation comes from those who are surrounded with people who have the ability to be able to encourage them and to be able to challenge them all at the same time in order to believe that they can get the best out of themselves to do the best in what they do in order to be a part of building this great nation, at least in my opinion.
So here we are. I'm an old athlete, and you an older athlete.
older athlete.
And we experience the relationship of having coaches in our lives. People who either they actually saw something in us or they had this premonition that something might be there.
Yeah.
And they encouraged us to use what we had, whether it was just raw speed or it was just grit and determination. Because I've seen some guys that didn't have any talent.
Yes.
But they were determined.
Yes, they were.
They were so determined, they couldn't be denied. But it was that coach that was back there pushing, applauding, scolding, cussing you out sometimes to get your attention, to get you out of where you are right now to where he or she, for the women out there that are under the tutelage of women coaches, and it could be vice versa, to get you to that next place. And yes, you need those kind of people in your life. You need those kind of examples. You need you need that, because sometimes it's just not in you that day, and you kind of want to throw in the towel. You want to kind of you may take that defeatist attitude, but to have someone that will not permit that to happen, won't do it, man, that's a gift. That's a gift that money can't buy. And I remember some of those men, the OB elders and Coach Wade and all those men that poured into me and just wouldn't let me get by with just any old thing. I never became a world champion in anything. But the lessons that I learned from them stay with me today. I would hope that each of us has someone that will champion their cause, that will encourage the way you have done with me. When I come to you and I say, "Bitches, I got this idea." All right, son. Well, you know, you know. I said, all right, and because you would say, "Go," it meant the world to me.
Yeah, that's because you have always had the energy in order to pursue the path of the unknown. You weren't intimidated to be able to walk that path and see where you ended up at in order to be able to do what you were looking to accomplish. And I think you're well on that way now with the opportunity of introducing Black Community News to the community here in the city of Little Rock, throughout the county of Pulaski, and around the state of Arkansas. And I think to that end, what you're doing and demonstrating is showing that one can have persistence in his or her life in order to be able to accomplish whatever it is that they choose to. And you've been able to demonstrate that. And I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to communicate with people that we have never seen before, to be able to have our voices heard in areas where ears have never been open to before, to be able to see things in a way in which we could take a position that we can as opposed to we can't do it. And I think that that is where we must begin to focus on encouraging all those who are non-believers in that things can happen, to just gently remind them that history disproves that opinion, in my view. And that's because it has happened. And it has not only happened for our people itself, it's happened for all people. Because we are in a position now in this world to be able to do things that heretofore were thought to be impossible to be able to achieve. But yet here we are. And we're in the year of 2025, headed toward a lot of unknown paths that are leading in all kind of different directions for each and every one of us. But we all have the same intention, and that is to be able to give people in this world an opportunity to be able to live comfortably and with one another for the purposes of doing the things that each and every human being deserves, and that is respect. And that is what we are hopeful of being able to accomplish here on Let's Talk in the coming days and in the coming weeks, and hopefully months ahead, to give that opportunity to you as well. Because as we look at how things are developing and taking place right now, it's going to take the involvement of everybody or everybody in order to be able to effectively have some traction in the path that we all have to walk to accomplish what we're looking to accomplish. And that's why when we say your input on this program is absolutely needed. Gabe, I don't know whether or not we got any reaction to some of the things that we've said to date, but I would hope that we have, and I would hope that by virtue of your single contribution to this, it can lead to a opportunity for us to be able to improve anytime that we come on these airways and have the opportunities to be able to do so. Because our intention is to be able to reach out to people in every stripe and persuasion here in the city of Little Rock, bring in those who are in the world of politics, bring in those who are in the world of religion, bring in those who are in the world of business, bring in those who are in the world of sports, bring into pleasure for the pleasure of all those who like culture, to have an opportunity to hear from them and make the decisions that are needed in order to be able to get us from point A to point B. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do that.
Well, I'm certain of that. I don't know if we're getting near a closing mark or not, but again, I'm just peacock proud to sit here with you, and I think I can say this on behalf of the entire Black Community News staff: Gabe Pfeiffer, Dave Peterson, Sam Fisher, Yeah, even Donna Ray, if she's out there listening, um, that we would come together and try to and just keep our sanity. And sometimes when it's not looking on those days, it's not looking so good, so that we would be here long enough for this day to happen. I can't wait for the next step. I'm just bursting with pride. Um, this is going to be a great addition to what the city of Little Rock and the state of Arkansas and the rest of the world can take part in, and I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that.
Well said, my brother. And with that, we're going to close out this portion, this maiden voyage of Let's Talk, and look forward to the next opportunity to be able to see all of you once again. And we just want to leave you with this thought. That is, the best way to make a friend is to be a friend. And it takes both the black and white keys on a piano to play the Star Spangled Banner. Good night, everybody.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.